Hey y'all, and welcome back to Lantern Creek Farm. Hey y'all, we are standing in the corn patch right now, one of the two corn patches, and I'm going to talk to you all about something that's pretty controversial. Some people are going to get upset about it maybe or not agree with me, and that's perfectly okay. I'd love to hear your all's opinions about it, and guys, this is just my opinion on the matter. And what we're going to talk about today is not watering your garden. I'm going to explain to you why we don't water the garden and why it works for us, or how much we water the garden and why it works for us. And I'm going to explain to you why it works in this area. But I do want to be upfront and let you know right off the bat that this might not work for everybody, and that's okay. It's probably not going to work in the lower part of the United States, or if you live in a very warm climate, but it works for us in the northern part of the South. We are in Appalachia and Kentucky, and so it worked for us, but it might not work for you. So let's talk about it, and while we're in the corn patch, let's just admire the beauty of this corn patch. So we are standing in a spot right now that has two large trellises that go down either side of the garden here, almost the entire length of the garden, or the entire width of the garden, I'm sorry. And I wanted to show you all the different spots of the garden here. As you can tell by the sun right now, it's pretty sunny. I'm gonna go on a limb and say, I haven't checked the temperature, but I'm gonna say we're floating right around 90 degrees, maybe a little bit above. I'm sweating, it's hot, it's sunny. If you notice right now, the plants are not wilty. They're not looking like they're thirsty. They're not dying of thirst. And we're gonna go on and move to the next couple rows, or the next row here, and I'll show you the tomatoes and kind of show you what they look like. Guys, it's super sunny out here, and so I hope in the video you can see that these plants are not laying over. They're not wilty. They're green. They're perky. They're standing up. They don't need water. Every single plant looks good. I'll step out of the camera here. Can you all see? Every plant looks good. This is the other end of the tomatoes here. Everything looks good. I wanted to show you all these specific parts of the garden. I could show you the whole garden, but you're going to find as you walk throughout this garden that nothing is wilting, nothing needs water. So let's find the shade, and we'll talk about why that is. So I found the shade, as you can see. We're going to talk about our watering habits. How much, whoop, that about gave way right there. All right, now we're going to talk about our watering habits. We're going to talk about how much we water, when we water, all of that. So the bottom line is we typically do not water this garden. We do not water it throughout the summer. We do not water it in the heat. We do not water it in the drought. So last year, just like most people, most, especially southern states, but I think even northern states, experienced the drought. And with that drought, you want to know how many times we watered? We watered one time last year. It was at the beginning of the drought, and I got a little nervous, and I thought, well, I need to water these plants. The plants were just starting out. They weren't wilty. They looked fine, but I watered them anyways. After that, I decided I wasn't going to water them anymore, and the garden did wonderful. You can check back at our videos from last year's garden. Should be under Garden 2023 in a playlist on our channel, and you're going to see that the garden did wonderful. It produced. We didn't have any issues with blight or anything getting on our tomatoes. We didn't lose anything to the heat. So let's talk about why that works for us. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by saying, guys, when we first put things in the ground, we'll usually water them about once or twice when the plants are about this small. It's mostly the tomatoes. When we put them in the ground, we water the plants in. We'll maybe water them once or twice, depending on how the weather works in early spring, how much actual rain we get. This year it's been a wet spring. I don't know about everybody else. It's been a wet spring up until the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks we haven't gotten rain. And if we have, it's been patchy here and there, and a lot of times it hasn't hit our garden. It's looked like it's going to rain and start sprinkling, and then it just quit. Yesterday I did a video for you all, and it just quit. It started raining and it quit as quick as it started. We maybe got 5 drops. It felt like. So, you know, we don't have a lot of rain when the summer months hit. It's hit and miss with the rain for us. It's usually pretty hot, pretty humid. Like I said, I'm sweating right now, and out in the sun, it's hot. And we are a southern state, so we have a lot of humidity in our area. I want to be clear that we do water our seeds into the ground. If we plant seeds, we water them in. When we first put out our tomato plants, usually we put them out when they're about this tall. Probably the next day, typically they're going to need a little bit of water. If it does not rain, we will water. If it rains, we don't. Your young plants do need that rain. You don't want to like starve out. You want to keep your seeds moist, that way they can germinate. But after that point, we do not water. And the main reason as to why we do not water, or how it started with us not watering, because typically, you know, we were raised to water the garden. Go out either in the morning or the evening and water your garden. The issue with this garden, it's the only place we can put it, and it is so far from our water source that we have to carry it. And so I was carrying, and you all seen, probably if you haven't watched any of our videos, you can check out. We have got a large garden spot here. I mean, it's not as big as some places, but it's pretty large. And I mean, if you're carrying water by 5-gallon buckets like I was doing and watering each individual plant, a 5-gallon bucket will get you through one row. And I don't know how many rows we have out here, but it was a lot of trips. And I just decided right then that after doing it a few times that I wasn't going to do it anymore, and the garden was either going to make it or it wasn't going to make it. And that was probably the best decision that I had made, because I wasn't stressing over getting out there and watering in the late evening, or getting out there in the early morning and watering, because you know, sometimes you can't do that, and then you're stressing. You're like, oh, they need the water, they need the water, they need the water. And I'm not saying that if you are watering every single day to stop, because it's probably not going to help your plants anymore, but I'm saying maybe next year try and see what not watering your plants will do for them. And after I did it as a little experiment, pretty much I just gave up, because it was a lot of work and it was too hard to get it done, and I couldn't manage to do it by myself in a short period of time before either getting up early or coming out here before dark. I couldn't do it by myself. And so I just quit doing it. And it was an eye-opening experience, because then I realized that the plants can make it without water. They are doing just fine. The garden did fine last year, and I don't know how many quarts of tomatoes we got. I don't know how many beans we put up, but guys, we're still eating on our tomatoes and we're still eating on our beans from last year, so we didn't do too bad. But I wanted to show you all in the beginning there how our plants look. If you've noticed, nothing is wilting or dying of thirst or needing water, and that's because we do not water. Now, if I come out here every single day and I started watering my plants from the very beginning up until this point, and I quit watering, it probably will not be good for the plants. They probably will be dying of thirst. They probably will be wilting out here. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to choose not to water, then you need to probably try next year and not just stop in the middle of the year this year. But I want to go ahead and explain to you also why it's a good idea not to water your garden. It's a good idea not to water your garden because it's going to make for hardier, stronger plants. And if you're a seed saver like we are, and you like to start plants from seeds, although that wasn't successful for us this year, utter failure. You can watch the videos. I'll try to link them in the description. If you are a seed starter like we are, you want to save good, strong, heavy producing plants. You want to save seed from good, strong, heavy producing plants. And if you are not watering your plants, they're going to have to fight for survival. And if they're having to fight for survival, they're going to be stronger. And so it makes for stronger plants. It makes for drought resistant plants. It makes for hardier plants. And you cannot go wrong with having a drought resistant plant. You cannot go wrong with having a hardier plant. You cannot go wrong with having a heavy producing and strong producing plant with underneath all of that umbrella of drought and things. And so, just to add to the fact that I don't have to come out here with 5-gallon buckets and it being so much work, I'm also creating stronger, hardier plants in the long run. These are the reasons why we don't water. Like I said, this is going to be pretty controversial. A lot of people are not going to agree with me, and I completely understand, guys, that this is not for every climate. We are typically more of a mild climate. We usually only get to about 100 degrees. Around 100 degrees in the summertime, which I know is very low compared to places like Texas and Arizona and places like that that get way past the 100-degree mark. So typically, like I said, our summers are only around 100 degrees. We have high humidity, but our temperatures are low compared to a lot of places more southern of us. But if people more northern of us could do this, then I encourage you to do it. It's going to save you water. It's going to save on your water. It's going to save you time. It's going to save your plants. It's going to make them more hardy and more strong. So let's kind of review why we do this and when we water and when we don't water. So I talked about watering in the beginning. So we're going to water our tomato plants into the ground, or all of our seeds or anything that we plant. We're going to water them into the ground first, and then we might water them about a day or two later. After that, I find that the plants don't need water anymore after that they can kind of stand on their own. And I feel like too, guys, and I didn't mention this, if you're not watering your plants are going to get deeper roots. They're going to get they're going to get lower and deeper in the ground to grab that moisture from the ground, which, like I said, is going to make for a stronger plant. When you have wind, and we have high winds in this area, it's gotten progressively worse down through the years that the winds have gotten so strong in our area that we have a lot of um, structures destroyed. Just a few months ago, we had a tornado that came through and knocked huge trees down, and I'll link that video below. But we lost quite a few things, and a lot of people around us lost their homes, and other things, other more important things than just our measly trees and the things that we lost. But our winds are high, and so if we have high winds, we want our plants to have deeper roots. And I find that not watering your plants is going to cause them roots to get deeper and deeper in the ground. They're going to grab into that moisture. They're going to want to hold on to the ground and the soil a lot deeper. A lot of times you'll look at people's corn patch where they've watered, where they keep their corn in water, and the roots and stuff are all on top of the ground. A wind blows through, and that's it. They're gone. The corn, you're having to go out there and stand it up, or a lot of people just give up on it because they've done stood it up a million times. Our corn roots, you can't even see them. They're not above the ground. And that I love that because that is allowing us to maybe make it to the end of the summer into the fall without our corn falling, because that's something that we've had trouble with in the years past. I go over again, when we water and when we don't water. Like I said, we're going to water seeds in, we're going to water plants in when we go in the ground. Maybe 2 or 3 days later, we'll water again if they look like they need it. After that, no more. We don't water anymore unless something looks wilty or looks like they're going to die without water. And in that case, we will water that specific area or that specific plant. But we are not going to water the whole entire garden because one plant looks wilty. We're going to water that plant and probably not save any seed from it until we can build that specific plant up to being more drought resistant, being more tolerant of the heat and the wind and the weather. So guys, I hope this video was helpful. I know I rambled on a lot, but I felt that this information was so important that I didn't want to make this a more aesthetic video. I wanted to get the information out. And like I said, again, I'm going to repeat it again because people are probably going to get sassy with me here. I know this is not going to work for absolutely everybody. There's a lot of people, though, in our area or in our mild climate that can do this. They can do this. And probably your northern climates are able to do this. So don't run your water bill up. Don't wear yourself out. Don't go out there and worry and fuss over your plants, because if you don't, you're going to make for a stronger producing plant. But guys, I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate y'all hanging out, and hopefully we can see you on the next one. We'll see you later, guys. Bye bye.